This episode of Angles is brought to you by Richmond Vona Personal Injury Attorneys. Expect high-level communication, transparency, and cutting-edge technology to keep your case moving. Expect a legal team that's laser-focused and moves fast to get the results you deserve. When the unexpected happens, expect Richmond Vona. Learn more at richmondvona.com. Welcome to Angles, the podcast where we dig into the stories behind impactful people and explore the sharp turns, daily decisions, and defining moments that shape how they got to where they are and how they keep moving forward. I'm John Richmond, and every week I sit down with guests who are building bold, meaningful lives and careers in Buffalo and beyond. If you enjoy these conversations, please hit follow, subscribe, drop a comment, or share the episode. It's a simple way to help us grow with the community and keep these stories coming. Today on Angles, I'm talking with Chef Darian Bryan. If you're from Buffalo, you already know the name. Darian's journey has taken him from Denny's to Hutch's to cooking for NFL stars like Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen. He's built a culinary brand with heart, hustle, and heat. Whether it's his Jamaican-inspired jerk hut pop-ups or his newest venture, Bratz Hill. We're going to talk about his journey, the risks he's taken, and what it means to stay hungry for more. Let's dig in. All right, I'm here with Chef Darian Bryan. You probably already know him, and if you don't, you're going to get to know him today. Chef, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, man? Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot, you know what I mean?
I'm great, man. I appreciate having you on. All right, so Chef, let's just jump right in it. I kind of want to just start at the beginning. You know, you've done a great job being out there and telling your story, but it's a story that I think bears being repeated. You know, you have an incredible journey. Can you talk about kind of like your first love for cooking and kind of where that came from?
My first love for cooking, that came from my mom. So back in Jamaica, my mom used to work at a cook shop. It was a takeout restaurant. I used to help her there every day, just like, you know, doing the daily stuff like, you know, cooking rice and peas, the cabbage, the oxtail, the curry goat. Do you like goat?
I love goat. I like when you make goat.
Some people's like, goats are pets. I'm like, goats are not pets, man. They're delicious. So that's where the love really started, just helping my mom in the cook shop each and every day. And my mom left Jamaica when I was 15, and I took over the cook shop. So that's how the love really developed, like cooking for the neighborhood folks, and I see the reaction to my food. I'm like, you know what? I like this. And it's funny because I tried plumbing before, that didn't work out. I didn't like the stuff my man was putting his hand into, you know what I mean? It's not my stuff. And then I tried electrical, I'm like, I don't like this either. What do I love? I'm like, I love to cook. I want to be a chef.
That's amazing. And you were 15 years old, which is pretty incredible. I mean, I don't even want to say what I was doing when I was 15. I definitely wasn't running a business. I mean, how was that? You know, I'm jumping into it and you know, I take it like your mom probably had, you know, her way of doing things, like the dishes she prepared. When she left, did you kind of continue on what she was doing or start kind of putting your own twist on things?
So I was kind of doing what she was doing because I was still new and fresh to it, you know what I mean? There wasn't much room for, like, I would say experimenting and stuff because I'm still learning, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm just trying to do the stuff that she was doing and the way she was doing stuff. So I'm like, you know what? My mom showed me to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. But when I start changing stuff now, when I came here, I'm like, oh, crap, you could do this too?
That's awesome. And so if I'm correct, you grew up in Bratz Hill, which is, I believe, a parish of, is it Clarendon, Jamaica?
Yep.
Okay.
So Bratz is a small little hill. 6 houses, no electric, no running water, right? I always tell people my story. I took my wife and kids back. Was there like 2 months ago.
Wow.
They didn't like it. My wife, she's okay. She's adapt to anything, right? But my kids are like, nope, there's no Wi-Fi here. There's no bathrooms. There's no this, there's no that. So they didn't like it as much. But man, this is the life I grew up living. Go to the river every day to get water, crocodile chasing us. It was rough. Yeah.
Man, you got to imagine you learn a lot of maybe valuable lessons growing up in that environment. Maybe ones that, at least I know in my life, that you don't kind of realize what you're learning when you're younger. What do you think, you know, you've kind of kept with you from those days? Again, like you said, you know, being chased by crocodiles, no running water, that type of thing.
You know, when I came here, I'm like, oh, you guys have it easy. This is easy. Like you flip a switch, you get light. You got water, different temperatures. And I always think back, I'm like, I didn't have any of this stuff growing up. So if I survive that life, this is easy. So I always keep that in the back of my mind, saying, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna get up and grind every day because I have everything at my fingertip. Everything I would ever need is at my fingertip. I got a car. I was riding bicycle back home in Jamaica and walking. You know what I mean? So I'm just so grateful for what I have now. And it's always in the back of my mind, like, you know what? It could have been worse. I could be riding donkeys back in Jamaica right now, or a bicycle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's powerful. I honestly, I give you a lot of credit. I think it's the easier route is to kind of, not push yourself and say, well, I'm in this bad situation. I'm just going to kind of stay here. Not that it was a bad situation, but it was a more difficult situation, right?
It was rough.
Yeah, I give you credit. But it sounds like, at least from what I've read about you, that you definitely grew up and you guys had a lot of love in your family. And I know that's something that, you use like every day, especially in your cooking now. But I believe, did you have like 5 or 6 sisters growing up?
Yeah, 5 sisters.
Wow. What was that like?
Love is a secret ingredient, you know?
Yeah.
So in the house on Bradsill, that's where the name of the restaurant next door come from, Bradsill. So we have like 23 people living in one house. And let me tell you, it was crazy. I look back, I'm like, how the hell do you survive that? So we have a few beds, like when the cousins and stuff come over, some of us sleep on the ground, some sleep on the bed, so we kind of rotate, you know what I mean? And no electric, no what else, you know that. And we didn't have much but just love. And food was the one thing that always brings us back together. We all, we have jobs, we go do whatever, but when it's dinner time, everybody's back home. But there's no kitchen to sit in, and there's no table, so we sit outside. Some of us is in a tree somewhere, some is in a rock somewhere. So when I come here now, I have to sit at a table, and dinner time is at 6 o'clock. It's just I have to get used to all of that stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a lot for me to learn and adapt to coming to the US. It's crazy. But I got 5 sisters. My mom got 6 kids, man. I'm the only boy.
Your mom's an angel. I mean, parenthood is hard.
She worked at a plating society and also Bradsill too.
That's amazing. And I definitely want to talk to you about those because that's actually where I met you for the first time, was at Plating Society, which is an incredible experience. But actually, I want to talk to you about your journey to the U.S. and what it was like when you got here. But I have to first ask you a really important question. I was thinking about this morning. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? How do you pronounce it? And this is going to be the official, this is like the judge's stamp on how it's pronounced.
I have an accent, so you can't ask me to pronounce that. I say Caribbean.
Caribbean? Yeah. Okay. I've always wondered that. Okay. So I'm glad you weighed in on it. So I know, again, I believe you, I think you came here when you were about 20 years old. Is that right? Okay. And, can you talk about the journey? I know, you had a choice where you were going to move and you chose Buffalo, which we're all very grateful for. But can you just sort of talk about, not just about making the move, but what it was like? I mean, I got to imagine, you're growing up, on Bratz Hill, in the environment you described, and then now you're literally by yourself going to the U.S. To meet your mom. What was that like? What was going through you, emotion wise? How was it?
It was rough because I have to leave my grandparents back home. They mean a lot to me. So I have to leave them and come to the U.S. with my younger sister, Tiffany. And I have an option to choose either San Diego or Buffalo, which you probably know that. And let me tell you, it was a hard decision, right? Because, San Diego is San Diego. It's California, right? And I hear all good things about that. But I didn't want to go back to the same temperature as Jamaica, right? It's hot there. Jamaica is hot. I want to experience something I haven't experienced before, which is snow. White stuff outside,
That's right.
I want to make a snowman. I want to do all that fun stuff I used to see on TV, Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to Buffalo. I want to experience something different. So I end up in Buffalo, which I still have to make a snowman. And that thing is, I don't want anything to do with that snowman. I stay inside when I have to, But it was a journey. So I came here to Buffalo. My younger sister went to California instead to stay with my mom.
Gotcha. Okay. So you got here to Buffalo and, you get situated, I'm guessing. And, Your story is interesting, kind of like, starting off, I guess I've heard that you really had no exposure to American food before you got here. Can you just sort of talk about, maybe like your first job or going to school when you got here, and how you sort of progressed through, especially in those first, like, I guess those formidable years after getting here?
My first job was at Denny's in Delaware. So it was so hard for me to find jobs. Like, I would show up to all these places, like, are you guys hiring? They're like, no. Or some places would be like, we don't have any resume. They don't have anything for me, right? So I'm like, they have no application. I'm like, what's going on here? So they say Wagmans is a perfect place to start to learn, you know what I mean? Because I want to learn so much, right? But they weren't hiring at the time. So I called Denny's every day because I'm like, I want to be a chef. I want to be in a breakfast restaurant, right? To learn all that stuff. I call him, they're like, no, there's nobody hiring. So I called him next day, like, didn't you call yesterday? I said, there's no, we're not hiring. I didn't know if somebody died or somebody didn't show up, you know what I mean? I'm doing a job, you know what I mean? But that's just me calling every day. They're like, you know what? Come in for an interview. I'm like, cool. So I applied to be a dishwasher. But they saw my resume. They're like, oh, you're going to go to school for culinary arts in 2 months. I'm going to put in the kitchen. I'm like, in the kitchen? I don't know how to cook this type of food. I don't know how to cook Jamaican food. They're like, we're going to teach you for a month. We're going to train you for a month. You're going to be all right. So that's how it started. I started, learning how to cook pancake. Never seen bacon a day in my life. Everything was just so new to me. So I used to go home and study the menu night and day, every day. So that's how I become the person I was at the time, right? Because like, it means so much to me than just a job. I wasn't there for the money. I just want to learn, you know what I mean? I was getting like, what, $7 an hour at the time? I was living with my sister. I didn't have no bills to pay anyways, right?
Yeah.
So I used to go home, study the menu night and day, every day until after 2 months, they asked me to be like a certified trainer. Because I become so good at the menu. They're like, this kid, he just started, he's not from here, he can't even speak English that well. So I used to go to all these management meetings and like, they should teach me how to do stuff, and I had to go back and teach the staff how to do it. So it was fun. It was a fun journey. So Denny's teach me so much, man. I went to ECC, and that's where the cooking really started.
I think that, those are really great lessons for anybody to hear from. You're 20 years old, you're here, and everyone's telling you there's no opportunity, and you don't stop. And a lot of people, I understand, like they're deterred, they get depressed about it, they don't want to keep going forward. But I give you a lot of credit for doing that. And I think it's also a great lesson, especially for young people. Like if you really love or are passionate about something, you have to start someplace, and you need to approach that opportunity with a really positive mindset, like you did at Denny's. Like you were excited. You're like, I'm going to master this thing. I don't care if I'm not getting paid a lot of money.
Yes.
That's probably something like that you don't lose, that you probably carry with you to today, and kind of other things that you do, just like that passion to move forward.
And also, like, I learned so much, the technique that they teach me there, just like flipping eggs and pancakes, and like the technique of making a beautiful omelet. It was like hard to me. Like this was so new to me. I was so excited. Up until this day, I can still go to Denny's and walk in your kitchen and make anything on the menu because so
That's amazing. It's burned into your brain.
Teach people. It was like come in and teach all these grown folks how to make these dishes. And I was like, every month I would get employee of the month, and people didn't like that guy. Who's this new guy coming taking all of her shine? You know what I mean? But that wasn't big enough. That, you know what I mean? That never stopped.
They actually say, it's funny you say that, you're talking about teaching other people. They say that that's one of the best ways to master a skill yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I heard in some interview, because you've done a lot of great interviews, that so you were at ECC, and then I believe you decided to go to Buff State. And I thought I heard you mention that you wanted to learn how to teach culinary arts. Is that right?
Yeah. So I always like, my instructors are so amazing. I'm like, I want to know what they know. Like these guys, I'm like, the stuff they know about food, I'm like, it was mind blowing to me. I'm like, okay, I know what these folks know. Then I start teaching. That's how I start like getting the understanding of food and how food work and why this happened at that time, you know what I mean? So I was gonna be a chef instructor. So my instructors would tell me like, in order to be a full-time instructor, you have to have a bachelor's degree. which I always want a bachelor's degree because that more the business side of what I do. ECC was just like a lot of like cooking hands-on every day. Little business classes here and there, but there wasn't much business going on. So I'm like, I want to go to Buff State to learn the business side of what I do because I want to learn all aspects of it. So if this guy tell me I can't come to work there or whatever, or he's quitting the day off, I can fully position, no problem. So that's my thing, you know what I mean? So now I teach both back and front of the house. It doesn't matter what position you work in my industry, I can teach you because I was trained by professionals in every areas.
That's important. You probably think it's you have to know the ins and outs of the back and the front of the house, regardless.
Like sometimes I would walk in Brazil because I got a bunch of people over there. Because there's two shifts. There's a day shift and a night shift. I'm like, what happened here? They're trying to tell me some story. I mean, I know exactly. I haven't seen. You know what I mean? I know exactly what happened. The pan was not enough. He still put it in. He didn't wait. That's why there's no color on the scallops. You know what I mean? Because I've made so much mistake throughout my journey because everything was just so new to me. So I've seen it all, you know?
Yeah. I mean, do you find that you learn a lot, almost more from your mistakes than you do your successes?
Oh, most definitely. Like Béarnaise sauce. Up until this day, I was teaching a cooking class last week, Saturday. And I was showing them, I was talking to them about Béarnaise sauce and how temperamental it is because it can break so easy, right? If the butter temperature is not at the right temperature, the yolk is at the right temperature, it's going to separate it, right? And while I was talking to them, I made it was perfect. And I walk away, it just separates. I'm like, oh, there you go. So I have to tell them, I'm like, this is how you bring it back. So I have to show them the process of bringing it back, you know what I mean? Because if I didn't fail all those time, I wouldn't know what to do now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's, no one wants to fail, but I think those who choose to learn from the failures end up being, quite successful like yourself. So I think that's a good learning lesson for everybody. So you end up at Buff State. Like this whole time, did you have a vision? Like, did you imagine you'd be doing what you're doing now, or like what were you thinking at that time, and how has that vision progressed?
So when I was at ECC, actually when I first came here, I noticed there's not much like Jamaican restaurant. There's a few Jamaican restaurants around, but not at the level that I want to go to. Because when I was at ECC, I'm like, I see the fine dining stuff. I'm like, yo, it would be dope if I do Jamaican food, fine dining. I never seen that. I never heard of it before. Many people never seen it before. But me, with my culinary background, I'm like, you know what? One day I'm going to have an upscale fine dining Jamaican restaurant. But I know the hard work I'm putting in every day, I know it's going to come to life because there's not much people who's willing to put in the work I'm putting every day. That's why I know, you know what? One day, I'm going to make it out because I put in the work night and day every day. I sleep less and work more. From ever since I got here, I'm like, listen, the bread is here, as you know that. Money is here to make, right? I'm not leaving anything on the table. I take it all, man.
Yeah, no, hey, look, I respect that. It's like that one life to live mentality. Let's make the most of it.
Yeah.
How do you approach each day? Do you have a regimented schedule, or is every day kind of different for you because you have so much going on?
Every day is different. My life is fun. My wife is always say I just have fun all day every day. She left her career 5 years ago. She's with me full time now because she's like, you know what, I'm gonna come have some fun with you. But then she really see what I do. She's like, oh, do you like this? I'm like, this is what I do, baby. But my life is exciting, man, because it's like you never know what tomorrow is going to be, right? I could be cooking for, the biggest name in the food industry or athletes or whatever it is. Because it's like tomorrow I would have a cooking class, the next day a birthday party, next day Josh would call me to come cook for him, or Diggs, or whenever when Diggs was here, I was Diggs' chef. So it's just so fun and exciting.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, right?
You never know what it's going to be. So I'm like, you know what? What do I want to do today? I want to do a speaking engagement somewhere, or trying to inspire somebody over here, or take a trip. because I have the ability to do that, you know what I mean, because of what I do. I can go different places and cook and do a pop-up somewhere, you know. It's not like I gotta go to work and miserable about it. It's fun, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. Like just hearing you talk about it when I've spoken to you before, I've never ever got the sense, nor do I think anybody does, that you look at this as work. I mean, obviously you take it seriously because it's
I
your
do.
career, but I mean, you could tell just how much you love it and how passionate you are about it. And I think that's, that's what everybody aspires to have, right? Is to,
It's fun because, it's funny because people always see it from afar, right? What I do, and I dress up every day and all this stuff, and I meet new people every night. Up until this day, like your party was like one of my favorite. You guys dressed up. I'm like, yo, I never seen anybody dressed up the way you guys do. Every time I talk about like an event, they're like, what's the most memorable? Like, I'm like, yo, John Richmond and his crew, man. These guys were in like three-piece suits. I'm like, yo, you guys dressed up like that to come see me. It was amazing, man. I love it.
No, we were
But
excited.
it's just people like, oh, you know what? I want to come work with you. I'm like, okay, come on over here. Then they see what I do on a daily. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, you want to be great, right? You're like, yeah. But this is what it takes. Because if you want to do the bare minimum every day, everybody's doing the bare minimum. So they're going to stay on a certain level. But if you like want to break barriers, you got to do a little bit more than the average guy. That's what I have to do every day. I have
Oh,
to
100%.
work, you know.
That's great advice. And like, basically what you're saying is, hey, a lot of people say they want to be great. A lot of people say they want to be like this person or that person, but they may not understand when they're saying that in the moment what that person's life is actually like or what it takes to be like that. And I think it's cool that you give people an opportunity to see what it is, to say, hey, like, do you really want this? Because, you see my brand, you see what I'm doing out in the community, but you don't maybe see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. But that's what happened. To see the behind the scene of what like the 14-hour days that I work and just grinding, like working for free, doing a charity event over there. Like, why you work for free? Because I'm like, it's not about the money, you know what I mean? It's just like the love from my community too, right? The money is gonna come, believe me. But some people can't see past that. You're not gonna make any money after do all these free stuff. I'm like, it's gonna come back to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's why
100%.
like young chefs always tell them like get the knowledge. It's the time to like be a sponge and just suck it all up. Once you get to a certain point, you can charge whatever you want.
Couldn't agree more. You just got to keep working hard, and you don't get that instant gratification. You just got to keep earning it. So I think that's also great advice. I know you just mentioned it, and obviously I wanted to talk to you about it. You've had the opportunity, very deservingly, of course, to cook for people like Stefan Diggs and Josh Allen, but I believe that this all started when you met Vontae Davis, who, of course, rest in peace, Vontae. Can you sort of talk about how that happened? Because I think it's a really interesting story about opportunity and how you just never know when it's going to present itself.
Yeah, so after I left Hutch's, I went to open this restaurant called Prima Cafes in Hamburg. Prima olive oil company. So they asked me to open this restaurant. It's a healthy restaurant. So I was there. I saw Vontae walk in. Never watched football a day in my life. I play soccer, right? I'm a soccer guy. And I'm like, who's this black man walking here? You don't see black folks in Hamburg at all. I was the only black man walking around for 2 years. So I was excited to see somebody look like me, you know what I mean? So I was just chatting. And he's like, he's looking for healthy food. He came here last week. He's playing for the Buffalo Bills. I'm like, what's Buffalo Bills? You know what I mean? He's like, the hockey team? I don't know anything about that stuff. And then he asked me to be his personal chef. I'm like, cool, I could do that. Then I started cooking for him all his healthy, delicious food. He started posting it on social media, started talking about my food. And people is like, who's this young kid cooking for the football player, I'm like, cool. Like, he's loving the food. Then you retire. Then you fly him to Miami to do his events for him. You meet all his players from his events. Then they start flying to where they live. So Vernon Davis, that's his brother. Vernon live in D.C., so a bunch of D.C. guys booked me to come down and do stuff like that. It was fun. So that's how we really get out there. Vontae was the first guy to open the door for me. And after he left, Diggs came in town. He reached out to me, asked me to be his personal chef. I was cooking for him all throughout. Then I met Josh, and all of those guys through Diggs because I was at Diggs' house every night, and these guys come for dinner. That's about it. They come for dinner, and I just meet all of these guys, and they start booking me for stuff. Then Gabe Davis, he got his own house, so he start hosting parties separate from Diggs' house now. So start going to get Gabe's house. It was like a revolving door, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, a lot of people would die to have access to people like that and just get to sit around the table and listen to them and talk to them. What are maybe some of like the biggest things you learned from any one of those guys about either, you know, yourself or I mean, even like I'm curious if you learned anything from them about how to run your brand, which I want to talk to you about, which is so on point. But you know, like kind of what did you take away from that?
I take away so much. Where should I start? It's just like in every aspect of your life, you got somebody, right? So, Josh, Diggs, we got like a video guy right here, you got a camera guy right here, you got someone to give him a snack from the fridge. I'm like, what's going on here? He just focus on what he do. He's a talent, right? So you have all these people, so you don't have to do those stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to cut no lawn anymore. I don't want to do no snow removal. So I get people to do all of those stuff. So I can focus on what I do. I learned that from like being around these guys, you know what I mean? Just like have everybody in place for something. So you don't have to do it. So you can focus on what you do and provide for these people, you know what I mean? That's the main thing I take away from them. And also appearance is everything, right? Which you gotta present yourself a certain way to get that business that you want or that company you want to sign, you know what I mean? So they're always keeping it clean. And just like the lifestyle they live too, which can be good and bad, right? Because you see this guy over here driving a Rolls Royce and all that stuff. I'm like, you want that too, right? It's just, it makes sense. And they're funny too, because if you're not pulling up a certain way, they don't want to be around you too much, you know what I mean? So you got to pull up too. You know, you got a Rolex, they got a Rolex too. That's just, you know, that's how these guys roll, you know what I mean? They want to feel like you're on their level, which you're not on their level, but somewhat meet them up there so you can. Because Diggs used to mess with me all the time because I used to wear like regular chef jackets to his house. And he used to come on like cheap, like picking on me all the time, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I start getting my stuff custom made. Like stuff I design, I have Adrian Jules made that for me, you know, custom made. So when I pull up, he's like, okay, chef, I see you. Like, you know, don't play me. I mean,
that's awesome.
It's all love, but I learned all of those stuff from them, man. Just like the lifestyle.
We'll be right back after a word from our partners.
After an accident, life can be scary, stressful, tricky. You need Richmond Bona to help navigate the process because getting a life-changing settlement can not only take time, it can take an emotional toll. The team at Richmond Bona provides high levels of support through all the ins and outs, so you get the settlement you need and the new beginning you deserve.
When the unexpected happens,
expect Richmond Bona.
Now back to the conversation. Well, I'm hearing you talk a lot about branding. Basically, and obviously how important personal branding is in this day and age. Is that when because obviously you've built an incredible brand. I mean, you have insane partnerships like with Dodge Ram, and I mean, that's just like the beginning. You know, you have a mass following on social media. When did you start really paying attention to that and kind of, you know, understanding what your brand was and really pushing it out there to build this, to give you all these opportunities?
You know, even before football, because when I was in school, I used to dress up every day, right, in a suit. And my instructors always wondering, like, who is this guy in class in the suit every day? People to judge me, like, are you a professor? Why are you dressing up every day like that? But I'm just dressing for that job I'm going to have in the future, right? And then I get to know all my instructors because they want to know who I am. Like, so what do you do? Where you work at? I'm like, I work at Hutchins or whatever. They're like, you always dressing up, so they remember me up until this day because I leave that impression on them. That's the same with business. Like, you're not gonna pull up to a very important meeting just in sweatpants and a hoodie, you know what I mean? You're gonna play the part. And that's how people wanna like get to know you, and like, this guy take his job serious. That when I interview people and they pull up in a certain way, I'm like, oh man, so just like It's the first impression, right? I'm like, oh man, okay, cool. Let's see what this person having on me. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes it's like the way you dress, the way you look. That's what I'm gonna get on the plate. You know what I mean? I don't want that. Cause we have standards, right? And my Jamaican culture is that way too. We're flashy. We always dressed up. So that's why I dress a certain way in the kitchen too. Because I'm not gonna be clean in the streets and just be, mediocre in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So that's all. It started from my background, and having 5 sisters, they're always dressing me up too. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's that saying, right? Dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. And I think
exactly.
And it's same with like look good, feel good. There's a lot of sayings, but it's all true.
Yeah. So
and
when I met Vante, I was dressed up. I was like everything tailored. It's a chef uniform though. I got my toque on, my neckerchief, all that stuff. And it's funny because he was telling this story when I was at his house one day. He's like, he saw you walking and he saw me. He's like, yo, who the hell is this guy? Why is he so fresh? You know what I mean? I'm being in the kitchen working. So that's what like draws attention to me,
Yeah, no.
Gotta stand out.
No, and I remember, this is something I wanted to talk to you about for a while. I remember when I first met you, you were referencing it. We brought some of our, it was me, Keith Vona, and a couple other guys. We came in to Plating Society. We had heard great things, and we're just down the street from you.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not just saying this, like I was blown away by your attention to detail. And, whether it's how you dress, how you present yourself, everything about the space, the kitchen, everything, the food presentation. Can you talk about, your attention to detail and how you believe that has played into your success, whether that's, in your restaurants or just, handling your business?
What I always tell my staff next door, I'm like, listen, somebody's always watching. So make sure you put the best foot forward at all time, right? With food for me and presentation, people eat with their eyes first. Even if they never ate my food before, they always eat on social media. Like, oh my gosh, this looks so good. I can't wait to try it. So that's why I trap them, by beautiful presentation, amazing looking food, and then they'll book me and they actually try to, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then the word starts spreading, Same with the appearance. Like, I got so much brand deals, I'm not bragging about it at all, but I'm just saying like, I got so many like brand deals and like, I just signed this big contract with this company for 1 year to be the face for them. They've been watching me for a long time, which I know that, but I just never slip, I always stay consistent, which you have to stay consistent in business. Once you start doing some racky, going the road stuff, it's falling off. No, they're gonna drift away. So you gotta stay consistent, and because companies don't want just a regular guy or just like an up and down guy to represent them. You want to make sure that you're keeping it 100%, so they can say, okay, this guy's representing us.
Yeah, I think, I talked sometimes. When I have the opportunity to talk to people like yourself who've taken your brand to that level, it's or like anything in business. The climb is really fun, but I don't think people a lot of times understand. Like especially once you start really getting that recognition, having that success, getting those brand deals, whatever it is. Now it's like almost like you have to work even harder to maintain it or to keep growing. How do you stay focused, and how do you just keep chipping away every day, even when good things are coming to you? Like how do you just like stay persistent?
I got a solid crew, right? Especially my wife. She's with me full time, and let me tell you, she keep me on track because I'm a little wild, which most of my brands know that sometimes I'm gonna say stuff, nothing too out of the way, but it's just like I'm just gonna say whatever I want to say, right? But sometimes I gotta remind myself, like, listen, I can't be speeding, I can't be doing this, I can't be doing that. I just gotta and my wife got her constantly reminding me, like, can't be doing that. You're gonna get an email later on about that. Because they're always watching my story, what I'm doing and watching this. So I gotta be cautious of what I do and say, which my wife, she always on point, on track. Like, you know what? You said that in Facebook. Oh, but you said it this way because people think you mean that. because people are funny, man. Like,
Yep.
I made a joke the other day saying that I was babysitting my kids and my kids are making fun of me. Said the worst babysitter. I was just joking. These people are flying up on me. Oh, you're not babysitting. You're staying with your kid. Blah blah blah. I'm like, it was a joke. My kids were saying I'm a babysitter. That's all.
Yeah.
End up taking it down, but it's just you gotta have people who are looking out for you. You know, my wife is always there looking out for me. Plus, also, I work so hard for this brand. I can't just like do the craziest and say the craziest stuff to lose all that.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be careful, especially in this day and age. There's always people who want to try to knock you down or haters out there. So it's like,
the haters were different stories, man.
yeah. Well, hey, look, at least you have your wife. I mean, obviously I can tell she's really important to you in many ways. And it's incredibly, huge to have someone like that in your corner who's watching your back, right?
Yeah, always, always.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, because she read every command she's just on everything. I'm like, I don't want to see it. Like, I'm the talent, right? I gotta stay focused. I can't let those other stuff bring me down or whatever. People saying I'm overrated and I'm this and I'm that. And she'll cuss them out. I'm like, yo, yeah, you do it.
That's awesome. So I know are you studying in Plating Society right now?
Yep.
Awesome. So for anyone who hasn't been there, I mean, obviously, highly recommend it. It's an incredible experience.
Behind me right there. So it's a
yeah, it's awesome. And you spend a lot of time with people when they're in there too, and I think that's really cool. It seems like obviously I could tell you take your cooking and everything about presentation and just the whole experience as like it's your form of art. Can you just sort of talk about how it makes you feel to interact with people eating your food and see that they're enjoying it and having a good time?
It's a great feeling because I always wanted to do something like this. My thing is like, why should I spend 4 years in college, right, for my degree and be locked away in the back of the kitchen? Nobody get to see me, nor like I can't see the reaction in your face when I'm eating your food. So that's why I come up with this concept. The first one in town to come up with this concept, right? To cook in front of people and entertain and hear their stories. They can hear my story. So that's why I have to dress a certain way and look a certain way and act a certain way and sharpen up on my skills because the camera is always on me, so I can't be messing up, slipping up here and there because it's going to get posted on social media. But it's a great feeling to see them enjoying stuff I create, and the hard work I put in. They appreciate it and they get to see the entire action and see their food like from a raw steak turn into like steak apple, me making sauce from scratch on the stove. So it's an experience.
Yeah.
We don't sell food, we sell experiences, baby.
So, that's awesome. I love that. So, I mean, you're in like Plating Society's in Larkinville, and then also in Larkinville in the filling station, you have Bratz Hill. And I know you also, you have the Jerk Hut. Can you just kind of talk about the Jerk Hut pop-ups and then talk about opening up Bratz Hill and just how it felt to actually finally see your vision of like fine dining Jamaican cuisine come to life?
Yeah, so I first started off doing the Jerk Hut, which was only on Wednesday, summertime, right? I'm like, people love it so much. I used to like do pans of drop off all through the winter. I'm like, oh, can I have something open all the year round so people can have access to it all the time, so I don't have to drop these pans off here and there every day, right? So that's how that started, just like doing Jerk Hut full time. But I'm like, I'm an upscale fine dining chef. It makes sense to do like an upscale version of that, right? Or can I make my food, our food, upscale fine dining? So I was looking around, I didn't see anything. Like, man, there's not even any like restaurant I could be like, oh, they do that way, I'm gonna do that this way. There was no upscale like fine dining Jamaican restaurant anywhere I could find one. So I'm like, So that's when I start like the wheels start turning. I'm like, okay, how about we do this that way instead? And because I love me a white tablecloth and napkins and service. Service is my thing, right? Service is just like the way it made people feel. I would go somewhere and have a bad meal and go back if they treat me right, right? So that's why I always teach my team members, like, listen, Because if something go down and a customer have a complaint or something, I find I'm like, what happened here? You know what I mean? I would get a little angry at times, you know, when people don't treat people right, when they could have done something different, you know what I mean? So I make sure everybody's on point when it comes on the service. So it's just like, how can I make my food upscale on fine dining? And that's how, you know, the night restaurant come about. So jerk is just traditional Jamaican food. You go there, you get the oxtail, rasta pasta, there's curry goat. There's no servers. You order your food, you go sit down, somebody bring it to you. But at night, you know, we got the full bar service, dim light. We got some reggae jazz playing. We got servers coming taking your orders. Like, it's a vibe. My thing is always bringing Jamaica to Buffalo. I want to be like the midst of winter, like snowing outside. It's cold as hell. You're in my restaurant, it's looking out, because there's so much glass, which you know, there's so much windows, right? You're looking outside, but you feel like you're in Jamaica because the Jamaican music, the red stripe, the food that you're eating just make you feel like you're on vacation, but you're in Buffalo, cold Buffalo.
I love it. No, and it really is an amazing experience. I'm not just saying that. It's incredible. I've had the opportunity to be there a few times. I've been to all your places. I think like a lot of Buffalo now, but it's awesome. So, you know, I'm curious, like, you do so much. It's incredible. And again, I mean that. You know, you have so many different ventures now. You have the brand stuff. You have how do you gauge when you're able to take on more? Like, do you have a way of, say, approaching, like we talk about in my business, like scaling, like understanding how to scale up and do it the right way? Do you approach it that way, or just kind of like feel it out and assess, you know, with your wife whether or not you're open to do something different or do something more?
You know, I'm crazy and I'm strong and I'm young, right? So I feel like, why not? Let's take that too. But my wife is getting to understand me now. That, listen, if I say I can do something, I can do it. Just trust me. And when I say trust me, it's like, here we go. It's going to be something crazy. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things that got people in place now. When I first started, it was just me. And my wife was to help out here and there, but she have a full-time job, so I couldn't depend on her too much. So it was just me cooking for 12 players, like meal prep. I was going to digs out every night. I was doing this, I was doing that. And I'm like, this is crazy. I didn't even have a dishwasher, so I have to go back and clean up by myself. I used to go set the table, serve the food, cook it, all that fun stuff until I hire people. I'm like, okay, cool, so I can step back a little bit now. And then I start like doing more stuff, because my thing is, like, I like nice stuff, to be honest with you. I like nice stuff, so I have to work for that. So I'm like, okay, my kids like vacation. Do I have like vacation too? I love vacation. So you gotta work for that. So I try to get in everything as possible, as much as possible, and also stay consistent. Because sometimes people spread their self too thin and they start losing quality but I just work more and just spend time on the brand and hope that, you know, it goes great, and which has been going great so far. You know, I got solid people around who help me every day to, like, if I can't do something, I can send a staff member to, like, you know, knock it out for me, or, you know, that's just the way it is. Like, I want to open another restaurant. I was just thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I want to open something in Orchard Park, man. There's no solid steakhouse. I want to do. My wife said, you're not opening another restaurant right now. I'm like, well, we're young. I'm just 33 years old. You know what I mean? I always tell myself by the time I'm 40, I should be cruising a little bit, because I'm going hard right now.
Yeah.
I should be cruising by the time I'm 40, because I want to set up all these stuff that I can, like, if I want to cook once and twice a week, I'm a cook. But not because I want to survive from that. You know what I mean? That's
sure.
Just the mind.
And I think most people would agree that a steakhouse in Orchard Park would be amazing. So, so yeah, I think you're gonna have a lot of support there. So, you know, I've appreciated, you know, kind of you being so open today. And one thing I was hoping you could do is, you know, I would love to know, like, what kind of advice would you give to people, you know, either looking to, you know, kind of carve their own path, whether in the food industry or just in entrepreneurship in general? Like, what do you think is the biggest piece of advice you would offer?
biggest piece of advice, like, don't take no for an answer. Because people's gonna shoot on the ideas all the time, right? Like when I first wanted to start like pop-up restaurant, people's like, no, it's not gonna work, it's not possible for you to cook on 2 little burners in front of 50 people, never done before, blah, blah. I'm like, but I can see it in my mind, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyways. Let me do the first one. If I fail, so be it, you know what I mean? I just wanna say I do it. Because sometimes we have all these creative ideas, right? All these amazing ideas, and let people talk us out of it. Because they can't see it, but it's not their, ability to see it. Like, that's yours, you know what I mean? It's your dream. So just like, don't take no for an answer, keep going. And it's your dream, just make it happen. And don't leave any money on the table, right? You take it all. Like, sometimes people hit me up like, your party is like 180 per person, only have like 150. And if I'm off that night, I'm not doing anything about it, I'm gonna take it. Okay, you have 150 per person, bring the next 30 another time, you know what I mean? I'll put in a payment plan or whatever it is. I'm not leaving any money on the table, like, you gotta take it all. You're not in a position yet to like say you're gonna skip me, no. I'm still trying to make things happen, so I just make it happen. And do as much as you can, because it's like, some people are, oh, I'm tired, I'm this, but if you badly want it, you gotta grind, man. You gotta spend extra time on yourself. You know what I mean? That's what I do. I practice night and day, read books, watch videos to sharpen my skills.
Yeah, that's great advice. You got to stay hungry, stay curious. And I agree. If you have your vision, don't let other people, shoot it down. Just because they can't see it doesn't mean that you can't make it a reality. All right, last question. It's a fun one, I think. If I told you I can teleport you anywhere in the world tonight for dinner, what restaurant would you choose and who would you bring with you?
Oh man, teleport me. Oh man, that's a good one. I definitely bring my wife with me. My kids probably would be mad as hell they want to come too. You know what? Alinea in Chicago. Grant is an amazing chef, and I've always wanted to experience his restaurant. So I would love to go there, me and the wife, and maybe the kids. I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that it's my teleport machine, so I'll be there too. But no, all good. Well, Chef, look, I really appreciate your time. This has been an amazing conversation. And where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
You can find me in Larkin. I live in Larkin also. My restaurant's in Larkin. But, Instagram, Chef Darian Bryan. Facebook, just Darian Bryan. And that's about it. And bradsil.com, platingsociety.com. That's where you can find me too.
Thanks, Chef. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Much love, man. Let's go.
Thanks, man. All right. Thanks for listening to Angles. If this episode made you think, smile, or see something in a new way, follow us wherever you get your podcasts, leave a review, and share it with friends. You can also follow us on social media. Angles is produced by Brett Tuttle. I'm John Richmond. See you next time.